What's up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and it's time for another episode of Underrated versus Overrated. So if you're new to Underrated versus Overrated, what we do is we talk about a palette that has a similar color story to other palette, or a product that's similar to another product that's been hyped up quite a bit, but the other product hasn't been hyped up as much. And I want you to be aware that there's another product out there that's just as good as it, that might be at a lower price point, that's more budget friendly to you, and you can still get the same aesthetic that you would get from the hype product that's just out here. Everybody's talking about it, but nobody's talking about the other thing. So that's why I started Underrated versus Overrated, basically to show you alternatives to other things that might be a better price point for your budget. So without further ado, girl, let's get into it. So the first Overrated versus Underrated is the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette alongside the Mented Cosmetics Metamorphosis palette. This is part of the holiday collection that just recently came out in 2022. It's 2023 when I'm filming this now. I mean, while you're seeing this, I'm filming it on Christmas Eve in 2022. So there you go. But here's what the palettes look like on the inside. As you can see, they have quite the same color aesthetic. I actually like the Lisa one better because it has these fun pops of green in it that I feel like it makes it appropriate for fall and winter, and it's more of like an all seasonal palette. When I look at this, I just think of this as a summer, possibly transition to fall palette, but I look at this and feel like I can use it all year long because it's like it has the deep grungier tones for the winter time and the fall time, and then it has those bright pops of neon and orange and bright red for the summertime. So to me, this is like a summer through like winter palette, whereas I feel like this is just like summer to fall, and then I would stop using it. And I don't really reach for it as it is because this isn't my color aesthetic, but I love Lethal, and I love the fact that they made their palette more year-round friendly as opposed to this one. I mean, I know some people might use this all year long and these are their tones, and that's fine, but I'm saying it's for my personal preference, the person who's making the video for you. I just think the Lethal one is better than the Natasha one when it comes to color story because I can use it for a longer period of time. And I told y'all winter in Chicago is long, so honey, not to mention the Lethal one is going to be cheaper. If I remember correctly, the Lethal one is only like $50, and y'all know Natasha's 67, 69, one of them, because it went up. It used to be 65. I believe these are $69 now, so it's like 70 bucks versus this. And then you can go to cameraready.com and use code Teresa, because Teresa's Dead has a code with them, and you can get a discount at Camera Ready Cosmetics, so you wouldn't have to wait as long for it to come from Berlin, Germany. So I definitely say go ahead and get into the Lethal one over the Natasha one, unless you catch the Natasha one 50% off. Then I say go for it, because you know, we know Natasha Denona's quality is really nice, and you know, she has good stuff. So next, Overrated versus Underrated, I have the, what is this, Linda Hallberg. Sorry, I keep trying to make Lisa Eldridge Linda Hallberg. I don't know why. This is the Lisa Eldridge Sorcery palette alongside the Party Glam from Makeup by Mario. Now these are the first set of eyeshadows he came out with. This is the first holiday collection he came out with, because I believe his brand is only 2 years old. So the holiday collection he came out with was like this blue and silvery fun quad, and I feel like these look somewhat similar, not exact, just somewhat similar. And I feel like the price point for this would be easier for you than this one is, because this is like $65, and then you have to wait for it to come from a foreign country, whereas Mario's you can go pick up at Sephora, and during the holiday sales that they have for the fall, you would get this palette for like 20 bucks. So 20 bucks versus 60 bucks, and you only get 2 more shades in here. The shimmers in here are nice. You get like a nice blue matte to go with the stuff going on here. With this one, like, you get this weird matte right here, but everything else in here is a shimmer as well. So it's like, I feel like this is just a better deal and bang for your buck. I'm not saying the quality is bad, because this was in my favorite palettes of 2022, so I'm not saying it's bad at all. Clearly I like it. It's just I like this one as well. And I'm thinking, as far as price points go, a lot of people don't like to use a lot of bright colors like I do a lot of the time, so I figured this would be a better bet for you, so that's why I'm recommending it. It's not to say the Lisa Eldridge's products are bad, because I really liked this one, or else I wouldn't put it in my, you know, favorites of 2022. It's just more of the price point and the way that things are going in the world right now. I feel like the Makeup by Mario one is just an easier and better bet for you, and you still get a good majority of those same shades. Or if you already have the Decadence palette from Mother, like, you don't need to get either one of these things. Just, you know, save them coins. So save them. Next, I don't remember if I did this one or not, so apologies if I did. I have a couple in here that I think I might have already done before, but don't quote me. If I did, my bad. So next, Overrated versus Underrated, I have the Born This Way, the Natural Nudes palette, alongside the Nude Prism from UOMA Beauty. I feel like both of these have really similar color stories, but I feel like Manny's gives you more variety of the color story, and you know, it has a really nice formula. The formula on this is really good too, but it's just like, you know, I feel like mayonnaise is just giving more variety and more colorful skin tones. This one, although it's nice, I feel like I can only use half of this palette, whereas with mayonnaise I can use a good majority of just about everything, and it has more deepening tones and it has a black in it. At the end of the day, this brown isn't as deep as it looks in the pan. So I would definitely say if you want a more than everyday neutral palette, go for mayonnaise. A lot of people are selling mayonnaise on Bakerie right now for 19-20 bucks because it came in BoxyCharm, so you can score it there for a really good deal. This one usually is 50% off too though, so if you wanted to try Too Faced and it's 25 bucks, then get it. It's just I prefer mayonnaise over this one, and I feel like for people my skin tone, mayonnaise would be better for you just because you get more variety of shades to choose from. With this one, I feel like you can only use half the palette, and I want to be able to use a good majority of the palette for the price that goes with it, so I say mayonnaise is good. So that's why it's in this video. Okay, next, let me see. Overrated versus underrated. Now y'all know I love lethal. I just had lethal him comparing to somebody else, but again, I try to think of y'all wallets when I come up with these ideas. So this is the Velvet Dust palette alongside the Juvia's Place the Fula palette. They had this palette on sale for like $4.50, which is quite the steal. And this is the like I said, Velvet Dust, and as you can see, they look pretty similar in the pan. I was actually thinking of doing an old school versus new school with them, just like compare and see if they look similar. I think I am supposed to be doing that, and I just took these out for this particular video, but you will see me compare this palette alongside this palette just because they look pretty similar. And if you can get this for 10 bucks over paying like, I think it's 40 something dollars for this one, then I would definitely recommend that you do. It's not that I'm down in Lethal's quality or think that Lethal's palette isn't good. It's just realistically, I'm thinking about like price point for consumers and color stories, and they both look similar in color story, and the price point is about the same. So I'm trying to save you some coins, girl. I'm just trying to save you some coins. That's it. Next, let me see. Overrated versus underrated, and I usually do this differently, but I feel like Juvia's Place gets a lot more press than the What's Up brand, and I feel like What's Up Beauty has a good range of stuff. Matter of fact, I feel like these color stories are pretty similar. It's just the What's Up Beauty is more muted, because look at it. It has those same pinks and purples. That has the pinks and purples. This has the same yellows and greens. This has the same yellows and greens. This is just more muted version of this palette. So if you wanted a more muted version of the Garden of Juvia's palette, then I definitely think this Geo palette from What's Up Beauty would be for you. You can use this as more everyday, and then use the pinks and stuff on the side for when you want to try to, you know, be a little glam or be a little fun. This one is more bright, so you might not necessarily like that. So this is one time I have one that's higher than another one, but I thought that it would be interesting to show off, and I thought some people might not have looked at it the way I looked at it, so I wanted to inform you. So I really like this palette. This is my favorite palette from them. I do have the Desert Monsoon as well, but this one was just my personal favorite, so that's why I made sure I went ahead and grabbed it. And y'all know I love Juvia's Place, so I had to have this palette. So there's that. Now I think I've done this one as well too, so my apologies if I didn't. I mean, if I did and you're seeing it again, my apologies. It's just I film so much stuff, and sometimes once I'm editing and done, girl, it'd be a lot. So I have the overrated versus underrated. So I have the, what is this, blueberry muffin from BH Cosmetics, and I'm not saying by any means this is overrated, but I'm honestly, with this one, I'm just trying to give you an alternative because you can't get this palette anymore. They don't sell it anymore on their website. I haven't seen anybody else talk about they found this at TJ Maxx or Marshalls in a while, so I wanted to give you an alternative to the palette. So the Thunder palette to me looks really similar in tone to this one, and it has deeper, richer tones because it was made by somebody my skin tone who knows the type of tones some of my skin tone would need. So if you're my skin tone, I think you might actually like the Thunder palette a little better, or if you just like deeper, grunchier tones, you might like the Thunder palette better. And I think this palette is only like, I think $7 more than this one, because if I remember correctly, this one was like $16 or $17 or $18, and this one's only $25. So you'd be getting about the same amount of shadows with just a higher price point, and you can use Trendmood's code and get a discount on it. And plus, Color Rain is always having sales, so it'll be easy to get this palette. Like on Black Friday, this palette was 15 bucks. It was cheaper than this one originally was regular price. So definitely be on the lookout for that, and stop sleeping on Color Rain. That's what y'all need to do. Stop sleeping on Color Rain. I don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it. So stop sleeping on Color Rain. But the Thunder palette is a great alternative to the Blueberry Muffin, so I had to make sure I shouted it out. Okay. Okay, so I only got 3 more left. And this one I'm so excited about, so I'm going to take it from underneath the bottom and show it at the top. So the overrated versus underrated, I have the Good Sport palette from ColourPop. I heard Nikki Raven saying how she didn't like this palette. And I was like, what blasphemy am I hearing from your voice box, ma'am? Excuse me? You don't like what? I'm done. Anyway, so I feel like the Ambiance palette is really similar to the Good Sport palette. So if you are like me and a diehard lover of the Good Sport palette, I actually did a old school versus new school with these palettes as well that you'll see in the future. I don't know when this is going to go up versus when that goes up, but I actually put them to the test, and honey, when you see the video, honey. So definitely take a look at the Ambiance palette from Ace Beauty. You can use code Cage Makeup to buy this palette because Karen has a code with Ace Beauty. I don't have my code anymore, so definitely use Karen's code to save some coins on this palette. This is a gorgeous palette. This is still my favorite. I still use this palette even though it's like super old and I probably shouldn't. I don't care, I use it anyway. I love this color story, but I'm glad to have an alternative to it finally. So when I do finally have to let it go because the shadows won't work the way that they used to anymore, I have an alternative. I have this color story. They both look stunning. They both did an excellent job. Their new improved formula is what really makes this a home run for me, along with the color story of the Good Sport palette. So definitely get the Ambiance palette if you were a person who likes Good Sport, because we all know our Good Sports are getting old out here. You know, we shouldn't be trying to rub them on our eyeballs anymore. I'm still rubbing on my eyeballs, so that's my business, mind yours. But you know, since we shouldn't be doing it, I'm trying to give you alternative, girls, so you don't necessarily have to. Oh, both those are going home, excuse me. So all those palettes stay here. Okay, so the next one I have is overrated versus underrated. So I feel like a lot of people don't talk about Beauty Bay as much as they should. I mean, I see people I follow talk about them, but I don't know if it's because of the shipping issues they've been having recently why people aren't really talking about it. But I feel like both these palettes are really similar. So this is the Evergreen palette from Lethal Cosmetics alongside the Dark Fantasy palette. Again, I'm not trying to diss Lethal by any means. I love Lethal. Like, a lot of Lethal palettes were in my favorite palettes of 2022. You all have already seen that video by now, so you know. So I'm not trying to diss the brand at all. I'm trying to help you with alternative, because honey times hard coins is, you know, getting smaller and smaller. So here's what both of them look like side by side. Now if you notice, they don't look exact. I feel like they look similar enough to where you could get similar looks out of them. Like, it has a green, it's not as bright and fun as this green, but you know, they look similar enough to where you can get looks out of them, and they both have great quality products. So if you need an alternative, look to Beauty Bay, girl. Okay, so I only got one set of palettes left to talk about, girl, just one. So the last set of palettes I have to talk about in the overrated versus underrated is the ColourPop Holidays palette that they did with the Muppets, alongside this Young, Wild, and Free eyeshadow palette called Bestie from LA Girl. I feel like people just sleep on LA Girl palettes in general. The big palettes like this are actually really good quality. They have really nice shimmers. They have decent enough mattes to work with. The only thing I hate is I feel like the deepening shade they pick is always a black, and it's like a charcoal black, so it's not like a true black. That's the only thing that irritates my soul about their palettes. But otherwise, they're fine. Like, if they could give me another shade besides that one all the time as their deepest shade, then I would be raving about them even more than I do now. And I feel like whenever they come out with one of these new palettes, I give y'all a video on it. So that shows I care. But this is what they look like side by side. I feel like they're similar. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying it's exact to this palette at all. I just feel like I don't hear enough people talking about LA Girl, and I feel like their palettes are just wonderful. The only thing is, I feel like they don't promote themselves as well as other brands do. No offense, because it's like I follow them on Instagram and I rarely have ever seen anything pop up from them. It's like, what are y'all doing over there? What are y'all social media people doing over there? I need them to do better, because it's like, I know you have popping products. A lot of us know about the concealer, and like, I want people to know more about other products that you come out with, but it's like, I'm gonna need your social media people to do better. Do I need to come over there and help y'all? Like, I do have a business degree and my minor was marketing. Like, do I need to come help the LA Girl team? Let me know. Because I'll be out there pushing it and, you know, handling business. But, you know, like, I'm going to need y'all to do more. Because it's like, this ColourPop one, everybody talking about. Everybody talking about ColourPop every 12 minutes. And their social media people on it. Why ain't your social media people on it, LA Girl? I'm going to need them to do better. So that way I don't have to make videos like this telling people to buy your products. I mean, I don't mind doing it because I like your products. But, you know, I want other people to know about them already without me having to talk about it. But these palettes look similar to me. And similar enough. And the good thing about these is they don't have this, the LA Girl one doesn't have the glitters in it that the, what do you call it? The, what's that brand? The, ColourPop one does. Like the glittery S-type formula. So I really appreciate this one more just because of that. This is actually a good alternative for the, what is it? The Kyla palette, the Impressionism palette. I gave y'all a main chick side chick with that as well, because I feel like this is a good color story for that. So it's a good alternative to like a more affordable Rainbow S palette for when you don't want to spend expensive prices on a Rainbow S palette. So those are all the palettes I had to talk about and do for underrated versus overrated in this episode. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are dimes, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.